Pretty darn good first episode, right? I'm particularly interested to hear what you think of this episode if, like me, you didn't watch season 1 and you're just jumping in after you had such a good time with Superman. So what did you think? Some of you were like, I don't know, Grace. And I was like, trust me, come along for this ride. And so what do you think so far? I mean, yeah, I had a few issues with it, which we'll touch on. But I think overall, I think it's extremely well constructed by James Gunn, who wrote and directed this episode. He wrote all the episodes, and he directed a few of them, but lots of Easter eggs for shock and awe. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, I geeked out hardcore when I saw that when I first got my screeners, and I knew it would light a fire under everybody with this premiere. But there are a lot of other cool things too. But then I think it does a nice job with a really strong emotional hook with the reveal of Peacemaker's perfect alternate universe. Perhaps too good to be true. We'll find out. But I think that's a strong emotional hook. And I think that's going to, I hope, and I'm sure James Gunn and DC hope, that's going to keep a lot of people watching till it gets to the final 3 episodes. Is it extremely similar to Guardians of the Galaxy? Even down to the title treatment? Yes, it is. But people like Guardians of the Galaxy. I like Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought the 3rd one and the Christmas special were particularly good. Now, why did I mention the last 3 episodes? Well, James Gunn's been going around telling everybody that that's where this stuff really starts to cook. He says it's so secretive, he hasn't even shown it to his own people, much less the critics. We got the first 5 episodes in advance, but there's 3 more, which apparently are where it all gets knucking futs. So we'll see. But I gotta say, this episode, doing pretty darn good. Trending number 3, last I checked. But it's a marathon, not a sprint, because Alien Earth trended number 1 when it debuted, but not at all for its 2nd week. I didn't even see it trend in the top 30, which was depressing because I love that show so much. And that was with some pretty big frickin' developments in its 3rd. I started with 2, then went to the 3rd episode. Nobody seemed to care. We'll see what happens with Alien Earth. Come on back there, man. And we'll see what happens with Peacemaker. Very interesting. Even if things maybe get a little more story-oriented than Easter egg-oriented for the next few episodes, if the show does finish strong with the back 3, and it's clever to do the back 3, because, when things start to heat up with 6, people might go, oh shit, I'm missing the hot stuff, and then go watch and binge Peacemaker up until then so they can join the party for 7 and 8. So that's actually very smart from a business perspective. But so if those episodes are incredible, that's going to be a really much needed win for DC that will build off of Superman and help pull Superman up a little bit as well, because those international numbers are still stinky. Now on that note, but let's talk Easter eggs first, right? For this episode, we have a lot of really cool stuff to discuss. And I hope you'll subscribe for not just all my Peacemaker, but my DCU coverage overall. And that's right, there it is, in bright, shiny lights. So right out of the gate, Gunn, ever the true comic book fan, hits us with a deep cut. And that's a Kite Man shout out. Oh, I can't tell you how happy this made me. This made me as happy as the Justice Gang stuff, because I do love the Harley Quinn animated season, even though the last season was not good. But I've loved that show for many a year. And of course, Gunn does as well. As we've discussed, he cameoed on that show. And I think that fans of Harley Quinn would be thrilled. I would be so thrilled if Kite Man actually showed up. Don't tease me. Oh, I would be thrilled. But he better be played by Matt Oberg, who voices him on the animated series. It would ruin it if it wasn't Matt Oberg. If James Gunn, speaking of that show, if he and actors going to live action, he said that's what he wants to do, right? If he brought over Kaylee Cuoco and Lake Bell to live action, I would lose my freaking mind. It would make me so happy. Oh my God, I would geek out like, oh my God. Like when I saw the expanded Justice Gang. That's right, not just Gunn's Superman, but also Supergirl as well. Very nice VFX here, by the way. I mean, it looked really good. Trench coat or long cape? I mean, it looks like the cape, but I like that maybe it could be the trench coat. We'll have to wait until next summer to find out. But I liked seeing her there already. I mean, I'm getting pretty excited for Supergirl. And she's a long way out still. This is, of course, a retcon of the Justice League cameo at the end of season 1. For the last week or so, I've seen people having a real hoot on social media saying, well, what's he going to do about the Justice League cameo? Here's your answer. Because that one, of course, featured, instead of Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, Ezra Miller, and Jason Momoa, who, of course, is now Gunn's Lobo. Excellent choice. I'm very excited for that. It's a small thing. It's really only for a split second, but it gave me chills. But I'm a super DC fan, and that's when you know you're doing it right, when the DC fans go, oh, even for just a couple of seconds. I heard that maybe there are some Superman characters still to come this season, maybe like in the back 3 episodes, right? And I wonder if David Corenswet Superman might be one of them. I haven't heard anything about David Corenswet, but Peacemaker wasn't Superman, so why not pay back the favor? So Peacemaker, of course, appeared on The Sphere, the talk show, clearly the Fox-style talk show, where Lex, or at least was, buddy-buddy with that anchor, played by comedian Michael Ian Black, who shows up here as well, revealing that in the last 2 months, there have been 3, more than 1 a month, metahuman escapes, not just from Belle Reve, but also Arkham. You just have to say it. And again, as a Batman super fan, I get pretty excited. I'm like, oh, did you just say Arkham? Right? You know what else they said? You're like, hey, you like that? Bloodhaven. And I'm like, oh, it's great. But yeah, someone said Bloodhaven as well, which of course is where Nightwing's base of operations is and where Catwoman went at the end of that other universe story in the Batman. But yeah, it's a big city. Also, we find out that post-Superman situation with the revelation about his parents on Krypton, have you not watched Superman yet? It's on digital. Even heroic metahumans aren't trusted as much anymore by the public. So yeah, let's talk Justice Gang auditions. How does Maxwell Lord, who owns Lord Tech, have faulty tech equipment? I mean, that joke didn't work for me, because that just made absolutely no sense. I was just too hung up on the logic of it. I was like, really? Also, in real life, none of those people would be doing introductory interviews. You wouldn't get to actual Justice Gang members and Maxwell Lord. I mean, they hired bodyguards. They would obviously hire support staff. That's who would be interviewing you initially. You'd have to be in the final rounds of interviews to be meeting these people. So that also bothered me a little bit as well. Who's that who had gotten rejected right beforehand? That is another deep cut. That's White Rabbit. Oh, you really got to know your DC Comics to enjoy some of these. But it's so fun. And yes, that's actually what she wears in the comics. Basically, think Mad Hatter's Harley Quinn. I'm sure that's what they were thinking when they created her. Well, I think she's been around for a while, but they really Harley Quinned her. So she's a Batman villain. And she's even down to having struck out on her own. She's her own entity now. She's not, in Mad Hatter's gang or anything, although they occasionally have a tea party. And also she's quite smart, actually. She's very intelligent, very high level of schooling. And also recently it was developed in the comics. I don't get this superpower. I'm not a White Rabbit fan, to be honest with you. She's a deep cut in that you're like, oh, that's a character it's hardly ever used and nobody ever talks about. Less so like, that character should get more attention. Although maybe some of you disagree, discuss in the comments down below. But anyway, I've also recently seen her be able to split herself in 2 so she can be her supervillain and alter ego at the same time. Imagine if Superman and Clark Kent could have a conversation together. I don't know why you would want to do that, but they did that. All right, but I have to tell you, she would not cry. She's not a crier. It's totally out of character for her. And that outfit, I'm sure some of you enjoyed it quite a bit. It's very male gaze. It's more cheap stripper than sexy Halloween costume, which I think is more female friendly. And I gotta tell you, I'm pretty sure guys like the sexy Halloween costumes as well. So I wish they'd gone more in that direction. But still, it was cool to see her. I was like, I know who that is. I get that reference. I enjoyed it. I guess to some degree, maybe that's what does it. Like as a comic book fan, you feel appreciated. You're like, I bet not everyone got that, but I did. All right, I did love the one exchange during this audition though. When Peacemaker has to address his violent past, and he's like, because he wants to be a good guy, right? And his violent past, his violent tendencies, that's what's keeping him from realizing his dream of being an actual recognized hero. And that's important. Remember that. So great line. Peacemaker's like, most of the people I killed were for a good reason. And then Maxwell, he's saying it like in a joking, kind of half joking way, but Maxwell Lord picks up on that and says, well, which ones weren't? That was a great exchange. I love that. I really put Peacemaker on the spot. Which people did you kill not for a good reason? And he's like, I wish I had a lawyer or an agent. An agent is basically a lawyer. And so that's when Peacemaker, he owns up to it. And he acknowledges that he's a product of the culture of violence that was imposed on him by his father. Can we get Harley Quinn in here? I think Dr. Harleen Quinzel would love to talk to Peacemaker, a.k.a. Chris. And maybe someday she shall. But for now, speaking of violent blondes, we do have one in Amelia Harcourt. Talk about a culture of violence. Hoo boy! It's interesting. This only occurred to me while I was filming this breakdown. A lot of times they say that we're drawn romantically to people who remind us of one of our parents. So maybe one of the reasons that he likes Harcourt, you think it might be because they're both damaged in exactly the same way. And maybe that is it to a degree. Maybe he feels she can understand what he's going through. And I think she does. But also maybe, she speaks his love language, so to speak. That's very interesting. And I would say that Jennifer Holland and John Cena do have excellent chemistry together. So Amanda Waller has blacklisted Harcourt. Harcourt can't get a job anywhere where she can use her special set of skills. The CIA, the FBI, the NHS or whatever. That's one. VHS. Oh, that was funny. I liked when she threw VHS in there. That was a good joke. But by the way, considering that Waller is still super powerful and can get someone blacklisted, even though she was just exposed for her shenanigans at the end of last season, you think you'd get to see her. I mean, her daughter brings her up too. Where is Waller? Come on, Viola Davis. Come on. She was in the couple of scenes in the first season. Maybe she shows up in the back three. She's supposed to be getting her whole own show, which I would watch the heck out of. Although I don't know why she needs her own show. Why don't you just fold her into this show and build this one out? That's what I would think you would want to happen. I think Harcourt being labeled with toxic masculinity is a complicated joke. I do think it's funny. Like when I first heard it, I was like, that's pretty funny. And she does seem to exhibit those tendencies. But then the more I thought about it, and I guess maybe you shouldn't think about a joke too much, but at the same time, I think this joke is designed to make you think. So on the one hand, I was like, are you saying like maybe you shouldn't attribute toxic qualities just to one gender when both genders could exhibit it? But then you counter is like, what one gender seems to exhibit it more than the other consistently? Like, I feel like I see maybe where he's going with the point, but then I also feel it maybe undercuts what's a very real phenomenon. Like, I'm all for finding out why that phenomenon exists and if we can maybe get to the heart of it so that we can solve it. I don't want to be dismissive of it, but I don't want to excuse it or I don't know. It's a good but messy joke. What did you think of that joke? Fight amongst yourselves and with me down below. Okay. The fight in the bar was fantastic. Very good. Very Terminator, by the way, also. Reminded me of that a little bit. It's really vicious, but it's supposed to be. Harcourt goes way too far, but that's intentional. She wants to fight. She wants to lose. She wants to be hurt, which, is very sad. And Jennifer Holland does a great job selling this fight. It's very well choreographed, but I also thought it was very well done in terms of strategy. Like, I believed that as a smaller woman, compared to who she's fighting, that she could hold her own for as long as she does. I mean, every woman knows, or every smaller person knows, you got to use props if you're in that kind of a situation. So she uses I thought she has good aim with that, pool table, a billiards ball. And then I got Black Widow vibes when she used that stick. That was great. And the choreography and the camera work all came together really well. That was a good sequence. Speaking of choreography, now let's talk about the opening dance. I think the reveal of the new opening dance number, which of course delighted so many people in the first season, is helping to get attention for this show when it debuts. Especially because Gunn and the other DC channels have shared the entire sequence on social media. So that's very smart to help get it trending and get people talking about it. Now, I went back and I watched the original dance sequence from season 1 again. I was like, was I too hard on it? Because I like this one so much. Still don't like season 1's dance sequence. For some reason, it doesn't speak to me. I don't like the music choice. I just don't like the dance. But this one, I really like it. I think the song is much better, and I like the dance itself. So allow me to share some of my favorite moments, and be sure to share yours down below as well. So when the Argus crew enters, for some reason that really captures my attention. I do like guys in suits, and they just look great. And for Frank Grillo just hits the right move, and the angle on the camera is just perfect. I just like it for some reason. I also when I only noticed this like after I watched the dance sequence a couple of times. Again, when I was watching my screeners 1 through 5, never fast forwarded this. So, and you always, I think, part of the beauty of it is you keep discovering new elements. So when Harcourt and Peacemaker kiss, and then they separate, and then she comes through again, I think that's a good fake out with a body double, because I think this is pretty low tech. I mean, obviously they have 2 Cenas on screen later, but I don't think they do it for the dance. But that was very good. But that didn't speak to me. That's just something I noticed. I did like the twirls in the air with the hidden but yet very obvious wire work. I was like, oh, for some reason I just liked it. And then when they do that big pile at the end, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a dance assignment in class when they have you do it. I'm sure many of you had to do this in high school and stuff, where they make you do an experimental dance routine and you have to like get in touch with your feelings and stuff like that. But what's cool about this is that everyone's taking the assignment really seriously. So again, even though nobody here is a good dancer, or at least in this context, I'm sorry if maybe they're acting as bad dancers. But it just, I think that makes it even more likable. You're like, wow, you guys took this assignment seriously, even though you're so bad at it. I'll give you an A for effort. I love it. So I just like it. Now, speaking of great music, that Foxy Shazam Dreamer song, what an incredible choice for the Multiverse sequence. I bought that song. Did you? So yes, that song really sells the Multiverse sequence when he explores it fully for the first time. I mean, it just gets you right in the feels. Like, it's almost cheating. It's such a good song choice. You're like, I have no choice but to love this sequence. It's amazing. But I have to say, and James Gunn did a very good job with the emotion, I think, in the holiday special and in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But like, I didn't even watch season 1. I just saw the intro here where he's like, oh, you killed your brother. I didn't mean to. And I was like, so that's the gist of what I knew. But I still felt it when his brother was still alive. I think that's also thanks to John Cena's acting with the expression on his face. I was like, ooh, right? But you know what? I also was like, with the actor choice. It's probably a friend of Gunn, so that's nice. But I think they could have done better for such a meaty role. I mean, you're John Cena's brother in Peacemaker, and that's a great role. But maybe it would have leaked. Maybe this actor is so off the radar. Nobody paid attention to him being cast, and therefore they were able to hide this really fantastic, this didn't leak, this really fantastic reveal. And not only is his brother alive, he didn't kill him, but he didn't kill his father either, which I only learned also from the intro. And they're getting along. His dad loves him. Plus, he used to be married to Harcourt with potential to maybe get back with her. And she's rejecting him in the current universe that he's in. And he's also a hero here? Oh my God. But is he a hero here? What do you think? Other Peacemaker doesn't act like a hero from his skeezy bedroom. As soon as I saw that bedroom, when I was watching the screeners the first time, I was like, this guy's not a hero. And then he goes straight for the kill instead of asking any questions, especially because our Peacemaker didn't even attack him. He was like, yo, dude, I'm coming peace. Although, I don't know, this is pretty good bait. Like, could Peacemaker, I mean, like, this is quite the bait, this life that's being dangled in front of him. But I do have to say, I wonder is this a dream come true because Peacemaker can do all the stuff that he always does, but not have any of the consequences, right? Like, that would be really interesting. Like, instead of being a better, like, actually becoming a better person, everyone's just cool with the bad stuff that he does. That would be a really interesting moral quandary. Like, would you be okay with that? You'd be like, well, everyone's okay with it here. That's interesting. And I don't know the answer to that because it hasn't been resolved in the first 5 episodes. So that's not a spoiler. That's just me thinking out loud. Our Peacemaker didn't even mean to kill the other one. It was in self-defense and an accident. He's got both things going for him. But that dude is dead. And that means there is an opening in his universe for another Peacemaker. So yeah, things for our Peacemaker aren't going so well right now. Even the orgies are bad. Whew, this was really bad. I mean, like, it's the unsexiest one I think I've ever seen. Right up there with the one in Doom Patrol, by the way. I'm like, how do you have duplicate unsexy orgies? This isn't even original in its unsexiness. This one just comes off as trying too hard. I mean, the episode didn't even need it. I guess it was a good gag where Economos is like, oh my God. Oh, and then he uses that for cover. But he could have it could have been something else, you know? It just came across as the episode trying to be edgy and cool. And who has a party like that without, you know, setting the mood with some better lighting? I guess that's kind of the point. Like, this one has like poor kitchen lighting and nobody even cares. And some people still have their socks on. And you're just like, ew. But maybe that's why Peacemaker doesn't join in. But I still have to say, I got to call the episode out on this. How do you have him throw a party like this and not join in? He doesn't even take his shirt off. Cheating. I thought that was, I also was bizarre. I was like, especially this metaphor works with this episode, but you can't open that door and not go through it. If he throws that party, he has to participate. Also, just like with Deadpool, these characters cannot get points for being bi in name or kiss on the cheek only. Like, they don't have to be bi, but if you're going to make them bi, then they have to be bi. So, Peacemaker's totally wasted, rejected by the Justice Gang and Harcourt. I didn't even get that until right now. So he's like, I'm going to go back and check out that other universe, which he discovered 6 months ago, only to be freaked out as soon as he walked in because his dad was there alive and being nice. He hadn't even seen his brother yet. And the energy signature alerts Argus, who knows what to look for because it's a similar energy signature to the Luthor incident from the Superman movie, which of course also involved interdimensional travel. We get a very brief introduction to Rick Flag Sr. and Sasha Bordeaux over at Argus, where Economos still works. I like Economos. That's what I was calling. I'm forgetting how to say it. John. But whatever, he's watching Peacemaker. But he doesn't snitch, which I respect. And instead he goes to Leota to have her find out what's going on. He's like, you ask Chris. But by the way, best joke in the entire episode, you live in the worst level of Grand Theft Auto. That was a great joke. What's going on with this closet? Like, how did he, I know he's lazy, but he didn't check any of the doors? Yeah, they didn't even interest him until now? And has only one come into his space? Like, no one else has walked in except for that one weird alien until now? That was a good bit, though. Making it like they live in some kind of crazy apartment building together, right? Like, Peacemaker's walking his eagle, and that thing is taking out its trash, and they have bad dynamics like neighbors. That was good. And also one thing I also didn't like was the business card joke, right? I think Leota would be body positive enough that she would be proud to put a silhouette that represents her on the business card. And if she didn't, only the broiest of bros would point it out. I really can't think of anyone who would point that out. It was very broy. All right, so otherwise, overall though, excellent episode, right? As I said in my non-spoiler review of episodes 1 through 5, even though there's still little hiccups here and there, the heart of the show, the Easter eggs, right, too, and the interesting proper multiverse story really wins you over. So what do you think? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.